the last lecture we have studied in unit number 1 the design of the staircases. Okay, so I hope now I have given you the homework in the second problem about the reinforcement designing. I hope now you have completed that. Now also we have taken one test on the staircase, MCQ as well as descriptive test also. So now we are moving to further to our next topic, and next is the design of footings. Okay, so your unit number 2. Unit 2, design of footings. So you know generally footing, what is the meaning of footing? Foundation. A member below the superstructure is called as the foundation. That for the load from the slab to beam to column, and from column the entire load is transferred to the footing. Okay, uh, we not supposed to raise directly the column onto the ground or hard strata. Okay, the reason behind that is the punching shear. This huge load or the stress coming from the column, if you rest that column directly on the ground, so there will be the subsoil reaction, soil reaction will be there, which is upward, which is acting on that column, and due to that there will be the crackings in the column and the column will get filled. See, the load is huge, so we need to distribute that load on the larger area of the soil. If you see the dimensions of the dimensions of the column are small, the standard dimensions are there. Okay, so through that column the huge load, if you try to transfer this huge load of the whole structure to the ground, then there will be the action of punching shear, which is called as two-way shear. Okay, it will try to punch, the column will try to punch through the soil. Punch means you have seen that punching machine, we use that punching machine to make a hole in the paper so that we can attach that paper to the file. So that is called as the punching machine. That action is called as the punching action. Whatever you do now, what you do, you insert that paper into the machine and then you press that machine. So while after pressing that, the whole it what it will do, there are small rods in that machine and those rods are punched through that paper. Okay, and then they will make a hole. So that is called as punching action. Same phenomena is applicable for here, for the column. Column is a very short member, so column is not short member, column is a member which is having less cross-sectional dimensions as compared to its length. Okay, so the cross-sectional dimensions are less. Now this column, now if you rest directly on this ground, this is the cross-section of the column, the front side. Okay, and this is the length of the column. Instead of footing, if the footing is not provided, imagine that, and if you directly raise this column on the ground, then this column will try to punch through the ground. Okay, but what will happen if you directly raise this, here is the, this is the soil, my hand is nothing but it is a soil. So this soil will exert upward pressure on this column and the superstructure load is downward, which is coming on that column. So due to this upward and downward load, there will be cracks developed in this column. Okay, huge cracks will get developed and the column still fails, because this column still is designed for the load which is coming from the beam. Okay, and this beam is designed for the load which is coming from the slab. Okay, so this column is not designed for this load which is coming from soil. Okay, and also the cross section of the column is very small, that is why it is column is not able to take that load. समझ में आया रीजन क्या है, why we directly don't raise the column on the soil, why the footings are required. Now see, now I have told you why we directly don't raise the columns on the soil. Now why the footing is required, why the footing is required. So the simple answer is that now this is the column. Okay, so below column if I place the larger area, now my hand is the footing, so this load which is coming from the footing will spread on this entire area. Okay, so it is the load which is the larger load, it gets spread on the entire area. Okay, and we will able to spread the load on larger area so that the intensity is get reduced. Are you getting my point? So for column we are it is just like a point load and UDL. In a point load the load is acting on a point, but in UDL the load is acting on entire length or larger area. Similar thing is there. When the column is there, the intensity of load is much more high because it is acting on for a smaller area. But when you distribute that load through the footing to the soil, then it will act on a larger area. So there are less chances of high upward soil pressure. It is getting reduced, and there is a less chances of failure of the column or failure of the superstructure. So the basic function of footing is this: to transfer the load from column to the soil. Okay, so that is why you might have seen that the footings are having larger dimensions than the column. Much more larger dimensions are there. That is the reason. Okay, I hope now you can cleared with this term. What is the footing? Now we will see what we are going to see in this unit. So one by one, everything we will see. First, we will start with the syllabus. Please note down all the points. These are the important points. Whatever I am writing here on this board, you should write it. Okay, so now syllabus. In the syllabus, design of design of isolated isolated square, design of isolated square and and rectangular column and rectangular column footings. Okay, this we are going to design. Also we are going to see column footings, okay, which are subjected to eccentric load also. Okay. So design of isolated square and rectangular footings, which we are going to see over here. Next is the about title of chapter. About title of the chapter. What the title says to us. Okay. So here a structural member, a structural member which transfers transfer the load, from column to the ground is nothing but footing, is nothing but footing. Okay, so this is the title. Okay, so here or instead of that I will write footing is base, footing is the base of any structure. For every structure footing is required. Okay, next is central idea of the chapter. Okay, so what is the idea of this chapter? So this chapter focus on Indian standard design of isolated footings, of isolated footings and its basic terminologies. Okay, the design procedure for for square and rectangular column footing, or square or rectangular isolated footing are discussed in this chapter. Okay, are discussed in this chapter. So now next is the importance of chapter. Importance of chapter in the subject. So why this chapter is important? Okay. So this chapter or unit, this chapter gives basic idea, basic idea about about evaluation evaluation of, of dead load, dead load, comma, live load, dead load, live load, forces coming on footing, or instead of coming you can use the word acting on footing, and and design procedure design procedure with with placing of with placing of steel reinforcement with placing of steel reinforcement, full stop. Okay, so due to this chapter or unit, students can thoroughly understand the concept of isolated footing, the concept of isolated footing. Okay, then chapter outcomes. Chapter outcomes. So I will write here, after successful completion of this chapter, students will be able to students will be able to number one, able to understand understand fundamental concepts fundamental concepts fundamental concepts of footing. Second, analyze analyze footing for dead load and live load combination. Analyze footing for dead load and upward soil pressure. Upward soil pressure. There will not be any live load. Third, students will be able to design the isolated square and rectangular footing. Okay. So these are the chapter outcomes uh, which are there in this chapter. Okay, so after successful completion of this chapter, you should be able to achieve these goals. Okay, so now what am telling you that footing, basically there are two types of footing. One one shallow footing and others are deep footing. Okay, so shallow footing means what? In the shallow footing, then isolated footing is there, then step footing is there, combined footing is there. Okay, raft foundation, mat foundations are there, and in the deep footings, pile foundations are there. Okay, or raft foundations are there in the deep footings. So in the deep footings, that depth of the foundation is very much greater. Okay, in the shallow footings, normally the depth of the footing is less than the cross sectional dimension of the footing. So if the footing is there, suppose now this is a footing. Okay, suppose now this is a footing. Okay, so suppose it is resting like this and the column is rested on the footing like this. Okay, this is the column and this is the footing. So you can see that this is the length of the footing and this is the width of the footing. This is length and this is width. L into B, this is the cross section and this will be the depth of the footing. So these types of foundations are called as the shallow foundations. Okay, and where, so in the shallow foundations the depth is less as compared to its cross sectional dimension, but in the deep footings exactly opposite case is there. The length of the footing or the depth of the footing is very much high into the ground. Okay, so normally these types of footings are, we call them as a pile foundations. Now isolated footing means what? If for a separate column a separate footing is provided, then it is called as the isolated footing. Okay, I will draw the diagram. Suppose now this is the column, this is column. Okay, and now for this column, if the separate footing is provided like this, then this type of footing is called as the isolated footing, and this type of footing is called as isolated footing. So here you can see this is your column and this is footing. It may be rectangular or square. This footing may be rectangular or may be square. If it is square, then it is called as square isolated footing, and if it is rectangular, then it is called as rectangular isolated footing. The concept is that for the single column, single separate footing is provided. So that is nothing but the isolated footing. So in this, now one more type is there, stepped isolated footing. Then strap footing. Okay, stepped isolated footing means steps are there. Okay, steps are made. Normally it is not used, but if you see, if I draw the diagram of that, then it will look like this. I will draw the diagram. So you might have seen that this type of footing. So this is your stepped isolated footing. Okay, steps are provided. Then again, one more type of footing is the strap footing, strap isolated footing. It is called as strap isolated footing. Now I will draw that diagram so that you will be able to understand. Where the depth is getting reduced. Okay. So here this type of footing is provided. This is the strap isolated footing. Okay. But right now for your syllabus only the first type of footing is there. Okay. Now we are going to see the design of this type of footing only. This is a single column, and for single column a separate footing is provided, so it is called as isolated footing. It may be of square shape, so its cross section is maybe square, or it may be rectangular. Depending upon the cross section, you can say that it is square isolated footing or rectangular isolated footing. Okay, these two which I have shown over here, these two are not in our syllabus. Okay, so we are not going to see the design of these footings. Apart from this, sometimes what happens, for the column, if you see, if the two plots boundaries are very, if the two construction boundaries, I must say, not plot boundaries, whenever the people do construction, sometimes they don't follow the laws given by the municipal corporation. What they do, they do the excess construction. Okay, so in that case, now if you don't spare any margin near your plot boundary, then sometimes what will happen, if your column comes there, the footing of that column may get what we can say, entered into the other person's plot. Okay, are you getting my point? Whatever I am trying to say, your plot boundary is there, and the construction is made in a such a way that you have not left any margin to your plot boundary. So वहाँ पे कोई मार्जिन छोड़ा नहीं है, वो प्लॉट बाउंड्री को मतलब क्या करके उसको भी मर्ज करके लिया है कंस्ट्रक्शन में. Okay, so at that time what will happen, whenever there the columns are there, if you try to design the isolated footing for those columns which are on the boundaries, that your isolated footing may get enter into the other person's plot, and that other persons will not allow you to do the your construction in his plot, in his boundary. ओके, शेजारचा तुम्हाला भांडायलाच येईल ना, जर तुमच्या कॉलमचं जर फुटिंग आहे आयसोलेटेड फुटिंग त्याच्या डायमेंशंस नुसार, वो अगर वो फुटिंग किसी बाजू वाले के प्लॉट में जा रहा है, तो ही विल नॉट अलाउड यू. व्हाई शुड ही विल अलाउड यू? for this constructions. Okay, so in this type of situation, in this type of scenarios, we go for the combined footing. And now what is the combined footing? Now if I show you combined footing in a plan, okay, suppose now this is my column, first column, column number 1, and this is my second column, column number 2, which are here. But what is my problem is, suppose now my plot boundary is here itself. Okay, this is the boundary of the plot, this is the plot boundary, and this very less margin is there, and now I have to design the footing. Okay, so now if I want to design the footing, what will happen if I design isolated footing separately for this column and separately for this column? My first problem is, whenever I think about, suppose this is my column 1, this is column 2. Now what will happen when I think about column 1, and if I try to place this type of footing, that is the isolated footing, so that footing will move outside this boundary, that footing will move outside this boundary. If I roughly draw it, okay, without anything, if I roughly draw it, then it may be like this. Okay, it may go, so this may be the dimension of my footing. Okay, and your neighbor will not allow you for this. And second thing is that if the space between these two columns is less, okay, if the space between these two columns is very less, then what will happen if you if you design the isolated footing for column number 1? So now first condition is understood. The first condition is when your column is situated near to the boundary and the space is very less, and if you design the isolated footing, then it will may go into the other person's boundary. So you cannot design the isolated footing in this case. So in this case you have to go for the combined footing. This is the first scenario. Okay. Now what is the second scenario? When you go for the combined footing, now see these two columns are there which are closely situated. Okay, the space between the column is less. Then what will happen if I think about the footing of this column number 1? So suppose now this is the isolated footing which I have designed for the column number 1 on the drawing, and now if I design separately the footing of column number 2, then it may be like this, it may be like this. Okay, now here you can see there is a overlapping of the isolated footings on the same level. Okay, there will be the overlapping. Okay, so in this case, instead of designing the footing separately, whenever the space is less, what we do one thing. Okay, instead of this we provide a same footing to both of these columns, and these types of footings are called as the combined footings. Okay, and now the combined footings are of two types. First is this footing which I have shown here. This is called as the rectangular combined footing. This is called as the rectangular combined footing because in plan this area is look like a rectangle, so it is the rectangular combined footing. And the second thing is trapezoidal combined footing. Okay, trapezoidal combined footing. Now when that type of footing we are going to design, suppose now again my two columns are there. Okay, so this is my first column which is having the smaller dimensions. Okay, so this is my first column, but the second column which is situated near this column has having more dimensions. It is like this, it is a big column. Okay, it is a big column. So now these types of columns are there. This is my column number 1, this is column number 2. Now in this case what will happen, naturally the load transfer by column number 1 is less as compared to the load transfer by column number 2. So column number 2 will transfer huge load. Okay, and also the space between these two columns is less, so we cannot provide the individual or isolated footing for each column. So that is the problem with us, we can't go for the isolated footing. Now in this case if we want to provide the combined footing, then naturally if you provide the rectangular footing, okay, like this, then you have to design that rectangular footing for the load capacity of both of these columns, in which column 2 should get the higher area than the column 1. Okay, and if you design the rectangular footing, now if I will show you the rectangular footing first, in this case you can design the rectangular footing, but it will be like this. Now if you observe in this, if you as a civil engineer carefully observe in this, for column number 2 this much of huge area is required, but for column number 1 this area is the wasted area. It is not required for column number 1, as that much load is not acting on the column number 1 and it is not transferred that much of huge load. So this area is getting wasted. What is the use of this area? If you provide the rectangular, this area I can understand it will get fully utilized because the column number 2 has having the heavy load. Okay, but when you think about this column number 1, this area is the wastage area. Okay, as the load is less. So now in this case what we do, instead of providing this rectangular footing, we go for the trapezoidal footing, and that footing is like this. This is the trapezoidal footing, and we reduce the area as we come to the column number 1. Okay, it is provided like this. Okay, and this type of footing is called as the trapezoidal footing. Hope you understood the thing. Now you can see for column number 2 here you are getting the larger area, and for column number 1 here you are getting the smaller area, less area. Okay, so this is the combined trapezoidal footing because the load from column number 1 is less and load from column number 2 is much more. Means less and more means I am talking about higher level difference. Huh? Here also in column number 1 and 2 it is not the case that the same load will be there. Okay, you may say that if the column number 1 is transferring a load of 1000 kilonewton, then the column number 2 may transfer a load of 800 kilonewton or 1200 kilonewton or 1500 kilonewton. Okay, but here the case is that if your column number 1 is transferring the load of 1000 kilonewton, then your column number 2 is transferring a load of 3000 kilonewton or 3500 kilonewton, huge load. Okay, so this is the case over here in terms of loading. So this is for your information, extra knowledge. You should know these things. That is why I have told you. But in our syllabus now, we are going to look for this isolated footing only, isolated square and rectangular footing. Okay, and we will take the numerical straight away, and in the numerical itself I will tell you how to design the footing, and in the numerical itself I will explain you the concepts. Okay, so now first part is the introduction. So I will write here introduction. Introduction. So here footings shall be designed. Footings shall be designed to sustain the applied loads comma moments moments and forces to ensure that any settlement any settlement which which may occur which may occur shall be nearly uniform as possible. You write down this is very important. I will explain it, but write it down. Possible, and the safe bearing capacity of the soil is not exceeded. Okay. So now what they have said in the introduction in the footing. Now I have already elaborated you what is the footing. Okay. Now see what this says. Footing shall be designed to sustain the applied loads, moments, and forces. Okay. So whatever the applied loads are there, loads from column, upward pressure from the soil, the moments, the bending moments which are generated on that footing, okay, due to the eccentrically placed column or something, due to load the bending moment is also there. Okay, so the footing will try to ensure that there will be the even settlement. Okay, you know that whenever a structure is constructed now, after some years, after some decades, it slowly settles. Okay, settlement means what? It will move beneath, under the, what we can say, soil. It is very less, 1 mm or less than that, or also sometimes 10 mm also case is there. But that is called as the settlement of the structure, and that settlement should be uniform. Okay, okay, that settlement should be uniform for all the footings and all the columns. If the settlement is uneven, then it will create unbalanced movement. Okay, and due to which the cracks in the footings and columns will get generated or developed. Okay, so that is why a footing plays a major role in transferring the load from column to the soil on a larger area, and also the footing ensures that whatever the load is coming, okay, so due to that load, if the settlement of structure happens, that the settlement should be even. It should not be uneven like this. Okay, it should be even, perfectly horizontal. Even settlement should be there. Okay, and also we have to take into the account that safe bearing capacity of the soil. What is the safe bearing capacity of the soil? Bearing capacity means up to which point the soil can bear that. Okay, that also we need to evaluate. And our pressure which is coming on the column, from the column to footing, or load carrying capacity of the footing, it should be less than the safe bearing capacity, then it is okay. If the load coming on the footing is larger and load carrying capacity of the foundation is larger, then it will penetrate to the soil if the it is larger than the safe bearing capacity. So always remember this, safe bearing capacity should not get exceeded in any case. Okay, so that is what it is written over here. Okay, so I think this introduction is sufficient regarding the footing. One more thing, whatever the design procedure now I am going to tell you, it is not given in the book. Okay, in the book the design procedure is different, and which is very tedious and very lengthy. So here what we are going to do while designing the footing, first we will finalize the dimensions of the footing, area of the footing. After that we will calculate the depth of the footing by three things. We will calculate the depth of the footing by, first we will calculate it by two-way shear, which is called as the punching shear. ते काय असते ते तुम्हाला मी तेव्हा सांगतो ज्यावेळेला when we come across that point I will tell you what is the punching shear. Second, the depth evaluation by one way shear. Okay, depth is evaluated by one way shear. And third time, once the bending moment is calculated, then we will take the check for depth. Okay, so in this way, out of these three, where we get the maximum depth, where we get the maximum depth, that depth we will finalize for our foundation. Okay, that is the footing. So now I will write the numerical problem. You also write it down with me. Question 1. First, a square column a square column 500 mm by 500 mm carries carries an axial load of 1500 kilonewton. Full stop. Design a square footing design a square footing for the column. The safe bearing capacity of soil is 225 kilonewton per meter square. Full stop. Use M20 and Fe415. This is the given numerical. We will read it once again. A square column 500 mm by 500 mm carries an axial load of 1500 kilonewton. Design the square footing for the column, the safe bearing capacity of the soil. So soil capacity is given to you. It is 225 is the safe bearing capacity. Use M20 and Fe415. So this is the numerical given. So see, right now for calculating the upward soil pressure or loading, we need to assume something. Okay. So first of all, we know the load which is coming from the column. How much is that load? It is 1500 kilonewton. This is the load coming from the column. Okay, which is coming on the footing. But right now we don't know the dimension of the footing. Are you getting my point? Right now we have not decided the dimensions of the footing, and we don't know the dimension of the footing. So what we will do? We will consider the self weight of the footing as 10% to that of the load coming from the column. This is our assumption. We will take it as a 10%. Whatever may be the load, 10% of that load. Okay. And the design of square footing, we have to design the square footing for this. So now what we will do, our first step is, I will write first the load. Okay. So here load on column. So load on, it is not on, it is from column. Load from column, which is equal to 1500 kilonewton. This is the load which is coming from the column. Understand each and everything. So it is very easy then. So what we will do now, we don't know what is the self weight of the footing. Footing से self weight, footing का self weight हमें पता है क्या नहीं पता. We don't know what is the self weight of the footing, weight of the footing. So what we will do, we will assume the self weight. How much we assume? We assume the 10%. Okay. So here I will write assume weight of footing, weight of footing as 10%, weight of footing as 10% of column load. Okay. So now what is the weight of footing? Calculate the weight of footing. So weight of footing means it is dead load. So what is the weight of footing? So weight of footing is must be equal to 10 divided by 100 into 1500. So how much it is? It is 150 kilonewton. It is 150 kilonewton. Okay. So first you understand this is the load coming from the column and this is the self weight of footing. Okay, weight of footing means it is the self weight of footing, or it is also called as the dead load of the footing or weight of the footing. So now what is the total load? Total load is equal to, it is 1500 plus 150. How much it is? The 1650. Okay, it is 1650 kilonewton. So now this is the total load. We know the total load. Now we want to find out the area of the footing. Okay, so we know the total load and we want to find out the area of the footing, and the formula for area of the footing is, I will write here what is the formula. The formula is area of footing is equal to total load divided by safe bearing capacity, SBC. So area of footing is calculated as total load divided by safe bearing capacity. So that area is, so what is the total load? 1650 divided by, what is the safe bearing capacity given? 225. Now calculate this and let me know the answer. Calculate it now. So the answer is 7.33. Okay. So we got the answer as 7.33 meter square, because this load is in kilonewton and 225 it is given in kilonewton per meter square. Okay. So now whatever footing we are going to design, now in the numerical itself they told us to design the square footing. So you know that square has having both the sides same, okay, equal. So here we can write, so area of the footing means this is the area of the square footing. Okay. So if I want to find out the, see what I want to say, this is your area. Now what you have calculated, this is your square footing. Okay. Suppose now if this dimension is B, this should be also B. And what is this total area? It is 7.33 meter square is this total area. Now I want to find out one of the side. One of the side, how we know that? B into B, or B square is equal to this much. So we can find out a one of the side of the this square footing. So here the same logic we are going to use over here. So what we are do now, the side of square footing, side of square footing, one of the side, this is called as side of square footing is equal to under root 7.33. I have written over here directly. Hope now you understood. Here you know that area means what? B into B is equal to 7.33. That is the B square. Okay, B into B means what? It is B square. This is, you can say, B square is equal to 7.33. Therefore B is equal to what? It is under root of 7.33. That is what we have written over here, and that is 2.71 meter. So round this value to 2.75 meter. 2.75 meter. This is the one side of the footing. Okay, 2.75 meter. So in mm, 2750 mm. In it is 2750. Okay. So now moving further, so we will provide this 2.75 meter single side. So another side also of 2.75 meter. So what are the dimensions of our footing? So here I will write provide 2.75 meter by 2.75 meter size of footing. Size of footing. This is the size of footing. 2.75 meter by 2.75 meter. So now we have got two dimensions. Okay, so here if I show you now what we have got, this is our footing. Okay, and for this footing now this side is 2.75 meter and this side is also 2.75 meter. Okay, what is the area of the footing provided? Area of footing provided. What area we have provided? Area provided is 2.75 by 2.75. How much area we have provided? What is the area? Do the calculations, let me know the answer. 7.56. Okay, so the answer is 7.56 meters square. Okay, so what is the required? Required is 7.33 and what we have provided, 7.56 meters square. Okay, so we have provided more than required, so it is okay. So now the next part. Now after calculation of the area, see now what we have calculated, we have calculated this cross sectional area. Our one side, this side, suppose now this is your footing, our this side is 2.75 meter, this side is also 2.75 meter. Okay, and then this cross sectional area is 7.56 meter square, but what is required, 7.33 is required, we have provided 7.56. This will, suppose now my hand is soil and this is footing, it will place like this, असं place होणार आहे, the column will be on the top of here. So this is column, this mobile handset, it is the footing and my hand is the soil. Okay, in this way the load transfer will be there. So now moving further for this, now if you see this is the soil and this is the footing, one more thing, this is the soil, sorry, this is the footing and this my hand is the soil. So what will happen on this footing, the self-weight of the footing is there plus the load coming from the column is there, so it will exert the downward pressure on this soil. Okay, on this soil, to resist that downward pressure, what soil will do, soil will give you the resistance. Okay, upward resistance, and soil will exert the upward soil pressure to maintain the equilibrium. You know that the downward force is there which is acting from the column and weight, so due to which if the reaction is not given by the soil, then this foundation or footing will get penetrate in the soil. The if ये जो soil है, my hand is soil, ये soil ने इसको upward reaction नहीं दी ये footing को, तो क्या होगा, due to the downward load from column or due to and also the downward weight of this footing will penetrate through the soil if soil has not given the upward reaction. Okay, so soil always give you the upward reaction so that your footing will rest properly. Okay, and that upward reaction is called as the upward soil pressure. That what it is called, it is called as upward soil pressure. Now that upward soil pressure we need to calculate first. What is the upward soil pressure? Okay, so that now we will calculate. How to calculate that, I will tell you the formula here. Upward soil pressure, upward soil intensity, you can say the word is intensity, and also the another word is pressure, you can use any of the word. which is equal to, this is denoted by letter sigma. Okay. This is denoted by letter sigma, which is equal to, very simple. Now see, upward soil intensity pressure आपण काढतोय. Pressure means what? Pressure and stress, the units are same. Newton per mm square, kilonewton per meter square, whatever it may be, units are same. But what is the difference? The pressure is externally applied. It is generated external due to the externally applied force, or it is the externally applied is always the pressure. And stress is what? It is internally get developed in the body. That is the stress. And the pressure is externally applied, but both are having same units. One is external, another is internal. That is why two different words are used, pressure and stress. Okay, so now pressure, so again the same formula will be there. How do we calculate the stress? Stress is equal to load upon area. So same thing is over here. It is load on column, load from column, load from column divided by area of footing, area of footing. So here I have written it specifically. What it is written? Load from column. I have not written over here total load. यहाँ पे total load नहीं लिखा है. Please understand this. What is there in the formula? Load from column divided by area of footing. So load from column. What is the load coming from the column? It is 1500 kilonewton divided by, what is the area of footing? It is 2.75 by 2.75, 7.56 I think the area. Okay, here you can also write in this way. It is 2.75 by 2.75. This is the area, or you can directly write 7.56. Solve this and let me know the answer. What is the value of sigma, upward soil pressure? Okay, so the value is 198.41. Okay, so the value is 198.41. I will write that value over here. 198.41. It is kilonewton per meter square. Okay, now this is the soil intensity or soil pressure, upward soil pressure. Now ultimate soil intensity. Okay, ultimate soil intensity or pressure, pressure, which is equal to calculate the ultimate, you should multiply it by 1.5. 1.5 into 198.41, and the answer is, let me know the answer. Two ninety seven point 615. It is in kilonewton per meter square. Okay, so this is the first step is over. Now your first step is over. Okay, in the first step, what you have done, in the first step you have taken the load from the column, then you have assumed that the self weight of the footing is 10% of the load from column, then you have calculated the area of the footing. Okay, area of the footing is nothing but it is the total load, which is load considered coming from column plus self weight of the footing, that is your total load divided by so safe bearing capacity of the soil. Then we got the area of the footing. After calculation of the area, we have calculated the sides of the footing. As our footing is the square footing, it is easier for us to calculate the sides of the footing, so we have calculated the sides of the footing. In the rectangular type of footing, what we need to do, that we will see while designing the rectangular footing. Now right now think about only square footing. So we have calculated one of the side of the square footing. After that, what we have done, then we have calculated the upward soil intensity. Okay, how do we calculate this? See here the formula. Here many of the students make mistake and they take the total load. Here total load is not expected to take, we take only the load coming from the column only and divided by area of footing. Okay, and then we convert it into the ultimate intensity. Now we will calculate the depth of the footing. So we will calculate the depth of the footing from two-way shear criteria and then from one-way shear criteria also. And whatever the maximum depth from these two, that depth we will provide for the footing. Now depth from the footing for two-way shear consideration. So I will give the heading depth depth from two-way shear two-way shear considerations. Okay. Now what is the two-way shear? Now I will explain you this concept. What is the two-way shear, or this is also called as punching shear. Remember the name. In MCQs it may require sometimes. Two-way shear and punching shear is the two names of a same concept. Okay. Now depth from two-way shear consideration. Now see what is actually happening now. Suppose now this is your footing. Okay. So this is your footing. This handset is your footing. Now imagine that this is the square footing. Okay, it will rest on ground like this. It will rest on ground like this, and above which the column is there. So now what is the thing? This dimension is 2.75 meter. We have calculated. This dimension also 2.75 meter. That also we have calculated. Okay. Now when you put this and the load is there from the column, the generation of upward soil pressure here, the through soil, the pressure upward pressure will get generated on this footing, and that is 297.615. These values we have calculated. But actually now in practice what is happening, now suppose this is the column. Okay, and this is the footing. Now think about this column and this footing, column footing. So whenever this column is placed on this footing, or below the column the footing is placed, what is happen, this column, now this is the contact area of both of them, so this column will try to penetrate through the footing. ये जो column है आपका, what this column will try, this column will try to penetrate through the footing. ये footing के आर पार जाने का try करेगा, penetrate through the footing. Okay, and what is its area of penetration? It is at a distance of d from the face of the column at all four sides. ये अभी जो कॉलम है ये पेनिट्रेट करने की कोशिश करेगा, कहाँ से, इस फुटिंग से. दिस कॉलम विल ट्राई टू पेनिट्रेट थ्रू दिस फुटिंग, and this column penetrate means you are now imagining the thing that if this penetration is there, then only whatever may be the cross section of the column, that much hole will get created over here. Punching action, I have stated you at the start. What the punching machine will do, the small rods of the punching machine will get punched through the paper, so that much hole we get. But here in the case of column, what happens, if this punching action takes place, now you might be thinking that here in this footing there it may create a hole, Hole means what? It is the suppose this is the square column, then square hole will be there. Whatever the size of column, that much of hole will get created if this punching action takes place. But it is not the case. If this punching action takes place, here this definitely the square hole will get created. Here definitely the square hole will get created, but that square hole is much more bigger than the size of this column. Are you getting my point? That will be bigger than this size of the column, and this is called as the punching action, and many of the footings are fail due to this punching action. This column will exert so much pressure on this footing that it will try to penetrate through this footing, and the depth of the footing, it should be designed in such a way that if this depth of the footing, whatever is the depth of the footing, third dimension, is not sufficiently provided, then due to this punching action of the column through footing, this footing will get failed. The cracks will develop in the footing and it will get failed. Okay, so we will design the depth to this for this punching action. Okay, I hope now it is clear to you. Is it clear? समजले का काय सांगितले ते? का सगळं वरून गेलं बाउन्स? Yes, no? Something you should tell me now. Yes, no? Are you understanding something, or it is not understood? Something you should say to me. Are you getting my point? What I am trying to tell you? Yes, okay, thank you. So now I will draw the diagram so that it will be clear to you that how much area will try to get penetrate through the footing. Okay. So, and this phenomenon of penetration of this column through the footing, this is called as punching action. So this shear is called as punching shear also, and two-way shear also. So now I will draw the diagram. Suppose now this is our footing. Suppose now this is the footing, this huge size, whatever you are seeing, this is our footing. What are its dimensions? It is 2.75 meter by 2.75 meter. So in this footing now I will draw the column. You know the dimensions of the column, it is given in the numerical. It is 500 mm by 500 mm. So this is again the square column is there. Okay, so 500 mm means what? How much? It is 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter. This is the size of this column. Now punching action. Now what is the meaning of exactly the punching action? This column which I have drawn here, this column will try to penetrate through the footing. The footing is having dimension 2.75 by 2.75, and the column is having dimension 0.5 by 0.5. So this column of 0.5 by 0.5 will try to penetrate through the footing. ये footing के आर पार जाने की कोशिश करेगा. Okay, it will try to penetrate, it will try to punch. Okay, now you will imagine, you are imagining that whatever is the area of this column, whatever is the size of this column, that much square hole it will get create over here if this column becomes successful in penetrating this footing. Okay, but actually it is not the case. The hole will get created if the punching action takes place. The hole will get created, but that hole will be like this. I will draw another rectangle over here. Okay, and this much of hole will get created due to the punching action. Okay, so ये जो मैंने अभी येलो में ड्रॉ किया है ना, ये सब इतना बड़ा एरिया पंच हो जाएगा फुटिंग से. Okay, so it is the case now. This is your footing. Here is the column. Okay, so only now that much of area will not get. You will not get that much of square hole over here. You will get the bigger square hole, more than the cross-sectional dimension of the column. And how much bigger? It is, we will get bigger hole, or bigger hole means I am saying that square hole, bigger square hole, because the column is square column. But how much bigger, that we should know. So the size of this is, if you take the, if this distance critical section. This is called as critical section. So from the face of the column up to this side, it is d by 2. Okay, again from this face of the column to this side, it is d by 2, where d is the effective depth of foundation or footing. From this face also to this corner, it is again d by 2, and then on this side also it is d by 2. Okay, on this side also it is d by. Now if I estimate, the total length. Okay, now see, if I calculate this total length, this is the penetrating area. Due to this column, this much area will get penetrate through this footing. The dimension of the footing is 2.75 by 2.75. Okay, the column area is 0.5 by zero point 0.5, but due to this column of 0.5 by zero point 0.5, this yellow square box which I have shown here, this much of area will get penetrate through the footing. This is very important. Okay, whatever I am telling right now. So now, how much is the length of this? So this is 0.5. If you see over here, this is 0.5. This is 0.5. On this side it is d by 2. On left hand side also it is d by 2. So d by 2 plus zero point 0.5 plus d by 2. So how much it is? So this is d by 2 plus zero point 0.5 plus d by 2. So it will be equal to 0.5 plus d, where this d is the effective depth of the foundation or footing. Okay, so this side is 0.5 plus d. This is this side. Same for this side also. Another side. See, this is 0.5. This on upward side it is d by 2. On the downward side it is d by 2. So this total will be d by 2 plus zero point 0.5 plus d by 2. Again the same thing is there. So it is again, this is also, 0.5 plus d. So what I mean to say that, you may imagine that the column is square column of 500 mm by 500 mm will get punched through the footing. Only that much square hole will get created, but it is wrong. It is not the case. How much bigger square hole is created? If your size of column is 0.5 by zero point 0.5, then the hole created will be 0.5 plus d and 0.5 plus d if it is a square column, and where d is the depth of the footing. Okay, so what we say is that in general, what IS code says that while you calculate the depth for the footing, okay, by considering this punching shear, you should always take the critical section at a distance of d by 2. So this is the distance of d by 2, whatever I have shown here, it is according to IS 456 2000, and this is called as the distance of the critical section. And why this yellow line is called as the critical section? Because on this yellow line the column will try to penetrate through whole this area through the footing. Okay, so here I will write the critical section. The critical section is at a distance of d by 2 from from edge of the column, So where we are going to take the critical section for 2A shear, it is at a distance of d by 2 from edge of the column. That I have already shown you here. This is the column. These are the four edges of the column, and from each edge it is at a distance of d by 2. So d by 2 on upward side, d by 2 on right side, d by 2 on downward side, d by 2 on left side. Okay, so this is what is it is said that critical section at a distance of d by 2, and whatever the area you will get after this, whatever the area you will get, this much of area will get punched through the footing. Okay, have you understood up to this point? Is it clear? Have you understood up to this point? Is it clear? Shall we move further or you want repetition? Yes, no, reply something. Quickly reply, don't take too much time. Are you getting the point? Whatever I am telling you. Yes or no? Okay, yes, okay. Thank you for the reply. Now we will move further. Okay. So now I hope now you understood. The critical section is at a distance of d by 2 from edge of the column and this much of area will get punched. Okay. Now if we move further, so I will write here let d small d be the effective depth of footing, effective depth of the footing. Okay. So here you should say that tau v आपण शिकलेलो आहे. We know that what is tau v. What is this tau v? Tau v is the nominal shear stress. Tau v is the nominal shear stress. Means what? The shear stress which is getting developed in that member, that is called as the nominal shear stress. Okay. The shear stress which is getting developed in that member, that is called as the nominal shear stress. And what is tau c? What is tau c? Tau c is the permissible shear stress. It is the allowed shear stress. These tau c values are given in the IS code. Up to that point the stress is allowed. Okay, and nominal shear stress tau v is what? Nominal shear stress is the shear stress which is actually present there in that member, which is actually acting on that member, or which is actually get generated on that member. That is the nominal shear stress. It is shown by the notation tau v, and tau c is what? Permissible shear stress. Tau c is what? Permissible shear stress. What our general condition says, your tau v must be less than or equal to tau c. Okay, हमारा ये जो tau v है, tau v means what? Nominal shear stress which is getting developed in that member. It should be less than or equal to. ये एक तो less होना चाहिए या equal होना चाहिए. किसके equal होना चाहिए? तो permissible shear stress. So the permissible shear stress is tau c. Okay, so the permissible shear stress is tau c. And in the case of footing, IS code says that how to calculate this tau c. In the case of footing, for in the IS code to calculate the tau c, the formula is 0.25 under root fck. Only the single formula is there. 0.25 under root fck. In the case of footings only you need to use this for tau c. In the case of beams in DCS 1, different formulas are there. That whole table is there. We calculate the strain and after that we will calculate the permissible stresses and all those things are there. That is for beams and columns. So for footing there is a single formula to calculate the permissible shear stress, and tau c it can be calculated as it is 0.25 under root fck. Okay, so these two things you must know. This is we have already studied in DCS 1 also. This we have already studied in DCS 1. नॉमिनल shear stress means जितना shear stress उस बीम में डेवलप हो रहा है या उस स्ट्रक्चर में डेवलप हो रहा है उसे बोलते हैं नॉमिनल shear stress, and it is denoted by letter tau v. Okay, and what is the permissible shear stress? This permissible shear stress is calculated on this depending upon this by using this formula, and this value of tau c is the permissible. परमिसिबल मीन्स अलाउड, उसके आगे वैल्यू नहीं जाना चाहिए. दैट इज द अलाउड लिमिट. ओके, सो हमारा जो डेवलप हो गया है जो शेयर स्ट्रेस वो हमेशा लेस होना चाहिए या इक्वल टू होना चाहिए किसके? परमिसिबल शेयर स्ट्रेस. ओके, सो द सेम थिंग्स नाउ आई विल राइट क्लियरली and neatly. So here we know that we know that here we know that tau v should be less than or equal to tau c. Okay, where I will write here tau v is the nominal shear stress, nominal shear stress, and tau c is the permissible permissible shear stress. Okay, and tau c is the permissible shear stress. Okay, so tau v and tau c I have written over here. Okay, so according to IS 456-2000, tau c for footing it is calculated as 0.25 under root FCK. 0.25 under root FCK. So now in our case, what is our FCK value? M20 and Fe415. They told us to use M20 and Fe415. So that is why M20 means FCK value is 20. So therefore tau c is equal to, it is 0.25 under root 20. So what is the value of tau c now? Calculate it. Let me know the answer. 1.112. 1.12. Okay. So it is exact value, if I tell you, it is 1.118 Newton per mm square. Okay. Because FCK we have kept this value in Newton per mm square now. 20. FCK value is 20. M20 means what? 20 Newton per mm square. It is 1.118 Newton per mm square. Now I will give you the simple task. Convert this Newton per mm square into kilonewton per meter square. Convert this Newton per mm square to kilonewton per meter square and let me know the value. What will be the value? Convert it and let me know the value. Convert it fast. Simple thing is there now. You have to convert just 1.118 Newton per mm square to kilonewton per meter square. So it is 1.118 into 10 raised to 3. Correct. So it is 1118. Okay. Kilonewton per meter square. It is 1.118 kilonewton per meter square. Okay. Now see what we are going to do and how we are going to calculate the depth. See that we will assume that whatever the shear force is getting generated, that is the shear force. I am talking about shear force now, not about shear stress. Tau v and tau c I am not talking about that. Whatever I am saying, just listen carefully. Whatever the shear force developed in the footing, Vu is the notation for shear force we always use. Whatever is the shear force is developed in that footing, that is Vu, that shear force must be taken care of. अब अभी क्या होगा कि फुटिंग में अगर shear force डेवलप हो जाएगा, इधर shear force आएगा फुटिंग में, so we have to provide the stirrups in the footing to resist that shear force. Is it right? Because stirrups resist the shear and your main reinforcement steel bars resist the bending moment. That is the basic concept of the design. Now if whatever the shear force is developed in this footing, the whole shear force can, if it is resisted by the concrete, then there is no need to provide the stirrups. Okay. While designing the beams in DCS1 also, we apply the same thing. What we generally do, we calculate the value of tau v. How do we calculate the value of tau v? It is Vu upon BD. This is our tau v. Am I right? और हम अब क्या करते हैं, फिर tau v की वैल्यू Vu की वैल्यू मिलने के बाद tau v की वैल्यू मिलने के बाद what we do, we compare it with tau c, that is the permissible stress. Now here what we are going to do, here we are going to calculate this vu. Here we are going to calculate the vu, that is your shear force, and then vuc we are going to calculate. This is the shear resisted by concrete, shear resisted by concrete. ओके मतलब जितना भी शेयर फोर्स एक्ट होगा उस फुटिंग के पे, सबका सब शेयर फोर्स कौन रेजिस्ट करेगा, खाली कंक्रीट रेजिस्ट करेगा. देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ सिर्फ सिर्फ कौन रेजिस्ट करेगा, इट इज रेजिस्टेड बाय द, what we can say, it is resisted by the concrete only. So here we can equate our Vu equal to Vuc. So Vu is the shear force which is getting generated in the footing, and Vu is the shear force, whatever the shear force is generated in the footing, that will be resisted by concrete only. Okay, so this is what is the logic we are taking over here while designing the footing. So now the next step is, so the next thing is not the next step, here in that step only. So now to clear your concept, I will draw one diagram once again. So this is our footing, this larger area, this is our footing. So here I will draw the column. So here in between our column is there, this is the column. Okay, and now for the punching action, it will, this column will not penetrate alone. एकटा जाणार नाही मी, गेलं तर सगळ्यांना घेऊन जाईल. That is the condition over here. Okay, column will not alone penetrate, it will take nearby area with the column. Okay, and that if we show, it is like this. Okay, so what I want to say over here, see, this is the area after the penetration. Now suppose this is the footing, now this area, entire area is get punched through the footing. Which area will remain after that, which area will remain after that if this punching action takes place? Suppose now our footing fails and the punching action takes place, then which area will remain? The remaining area will be this area, this area will remain, whatever I am hatching right now, this area will remain. Okay, this area will remain. Okay, the hatched area whatever shown over here, and this Vu shear force, it will act on this remaining area because the inside area will get penetrate. Okay, so this remaining area, whatever is the hatched area is there, this area is needs to resist the shear force Vu. Okay, so here I can write, this arrow will shows you this area. So this is area which remains. This diagram is not necessary for you to draw in the exam, it is for your understanding purpose I have drawn only over here. So area which remain after punching action, after punching action. So after punching action means what, ये जो अंदर का पूरा ये जो स्क्वायर है, ये कॉलम इसके साथ जाएगा, ये एरिया लेके जाएगा. सो अभी ये पूरा एरिया, अगर इतना एरिया ये पेनिट्रेट हो गया इस फुटिंग से, तो रह गया कौन सा, जो मैंने हैच किया है वो एरिया बाकी रह जाएगा. दैट इज द एरिया विच रिमेन्स आफ्टर द पंचिंग एक्शन. सो ये जो एरिया है रिमेनिंग एरिया, इस एरिया पे ही हमको क्या करना पड़ेगा, shear force calculate करना पड़ेगा. So whatever the remaining area is there, on that area only we are going to calculate the shear force. Okay, so for to calculate the shear force, what is the basic formula for the force? So you know that force is nothing but, force is equal to what, it is stress or pressure or intensity into area. Stress into area, the simple formula is there for the force. Same logic we are going to apply over here. Force is nothing but stress into area. So this force, now the force is the shear force, that is the VU. Okay, force is the shear force, that is the VU. What is the stress or area? What is the stress or area? Here we will take it is as upward soil pressure. Upward soil pressure. It will generated due to the upward soil pressure. And area. Area is nothing but it is hatched area, which I have shown over here. It is the hatched area. This area will required to calculate the shear force VU. VU is nothing but it is the shear force. VU is nothing but it is the shear force. Stress, stress you should take, or pressure, it is the upward soil pressure that we have already calculated. And then area is nothing but I have shown you which area is remaining and on which area we need to calculate the shear force. मग हाच area का घेतला? Because if we assume that the punching action takes place, so after the punching action what will happen? This column along with this outside area, this small column along with this outside area will get punched through this whole footing, and this area will get deducted. So this area will not be there once the punching action takes place. uh, Whenever you punch the paper, okay, it will create the hole in that paper, so that hole will remain as it is. That much of area will get minus from the total area of that page. Are you getting my point? Same thing is there. Whenever the punching action will takes place, this hatched area will remain. This total area along this column will get punched. Okay, it will get penetrate. So this is the remaining area. That is why we have taken the shear force which is there on this remaining area, and we want to calculate the force. That is why we are using the formula stress into area. So stress is nothing but your upward soil pressure, whatever the soil pressure is exerted there. Okay, and area is this remaining hatched area. So here I can write VU is equal to this upward soil pressure. I think we have calculated the value. How much it is? It is 297 point something. No, what was the value? What was the value of that? It is 297.6615. Okay, so it is 297.615. That value I will write over here. 297.615. This is the soil pressure into hatched area. Now you tell me this total area, this is 2.75 meter. This is 2.75 meter. Okay, this inside this column is 0.5 meter. This dimension is also 0.5 meter. Okay, the critical section, this distance I have already told you. This critical section, this one and this one on that side also. How much it is? It is d by 2. Upward it is d by 2, downward it is also d by 2. Similarly here it is also d by 2, on this side also d by 2. So how much is this length? So it is, how much it is? This dimension is zero point 0.5 plus d. This is 0.5 plus d, and this will be also same 0.5 plus d. Okay, this will also same, it is 0.5 plus d. This will be also same 0.5 plus d. Okay, so now if I want to calculate that area, how do I calculate this? From this total area 2.75 by 2.75, that is 2.75 square. So what is the total area of the footing? We know the value of area of footing. What is the area of footing? It is 7 point something, no? 7.56 or something, 7.56 minus from this whole entire area we need to minus this area. Which area we have to minus? We have to minus this area, so that the hatched area will remain as it is. So we have to minus this area. So how much is that area? It is 0.5 plus d into, this is the square, so 0.5 plus d into 0.5 plus d, it is 0.5 plus d square. This is the area. Okay, now if we simplify this, for the further, then what we will get? So we will get over here VU is equal to VU is equal to, it is 297.615 297.615 into here in the bracket 7.56 minus now what is remaining in the bracket? In bracket the thing is that zero point 0.5 plus d square. 0.5 plus d square means what? You need to solve it by a, it is a square plus b square plus 2ab, a plus b bracket square. Okay, so if the minus sign is there over here, then all these terms will be in a bracket, and uh, outside the bracket minus sign will be there. Okay, so a square, suppose a is a 0.5, so 0.5 square, it is 0.25. Okay, then again this b square means d square, so minus d square as it is. Again this minus 2ab, so it will be 2ab means what? 2 into 0 0.5 into d. Okay, so it is only d. 2ab is d. Am I right? How it is d? So 2 as it is, 0.5 means 1 by 2 into d. So these two will get cancelled. Okay. So that is what I have written over here. I will erase this now. This is for your understanding. I have written. Okay. So 0.5 minus d square minus d. Okay, so do the calculation. Therefore VU is equal to, it is 297.615 into here, what is the calculation? 7.56 minus 0.25, how much it is? 7 point, here it is 1 5 minus 2 3, 7.31 I think. Is it right? This is 7.31 minus d square. So I will write minus d first and then minus d square. It doesn't matter. Minus d square. So now multiply by this 297.61 into, madam lecture चालू है. So you have to multiply this by 297.61 inside the bracket. So therefore VU is equal to, now 297.61 multiplied by 7.33. What is the calculation? Let me know the answer fast. Do it now. 297.615 into 7.31. Now multiply this term inside the bracket. What is the answer? Let me know the answer. Solve it. Just one multiplication. It is 2175.56. Okay, again if you multiply inside, then it is minus 297.615d. Again inside it is 297.615 d square. Okay, so this is VU, shear force, and this is your equation number 1. This is the equation number 1. Okay, so this is the shear force. Now we will calculate the shear resisted by concrete. Okay, so shear resisted by concrete. So shear resisted by concrete, it is VUC. That is the notation we are using for this shear resisted by the concrete. Okay, so how do we calculate the VUC? You know the formula. Again, this is the force. Force is nothing but stress into area. So it is tau C into BD. So shear resisted by the concrete should be the permissible shear stress into area. So now what is the area? Okay. So what is the area? So that we will do. I will show you how to take the area in this case. So here now, see, I am going to ask you the simple question. Now suppose this is my footing. This is my footing. This entire footing. And now, so whatever is this object is there. Suppose now this is this much of object. Okay, this is the square, some square hole. If I drill here the square hole. Okay, and that part if I press it, then it will come out from this side. It will come out from this side. So while this part is coming out, which area will get in the contact of that part with this footing? Okay. If you don't understand the question, I will repeat it in Marathi. Just a minute, sir. See, I will repeat it in Marathi for you to understand, to make it better to understand. हे आहे footing. तर तुमचं footing आहे. हे dimension किती आहे? This is 2.75. This is 2.75. We don't know the depth yet. We haven't calculated. Now this is the, you can see this this black object. Okay. Suppose now this is the your area which is going to punch through this footing. हा जो एवढा एरिया आहे हा ब्लॅक, हा एरिया ह्याच्यामधनं पंच होणार आहे खाली, पंच. ओके. मग हा जो एरिया आहे हा या फुटिंग मधनं खाली पंच होताना हा जो तुमचा एरिया आहे ब्लॅक आणि हा ब्लॅक एरिया आणि हे फुटिंग, ह्यांच्यामध्ये कुठल्या एरियाचा कॉन्टॅक्ट होईल, कुठला एरिया येईल कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये दोघांच्या? That you think, that diagram I will draw right now, that you think which area will come into the contact. Okay, that is the important thing. So still I have drawn the diagram. Now you got my question, I think so. Now I will draw the diagram again. So this is the area. हा जो आहे ना, हा एरिया, ह्याची मी डायग्राम काढतोय बरं का. हे जे मी काळात तुम्हाला दाखवलं हे 0.5 plus d. Okay, that diagram I will draw. So here, so instead of that, now it will not cover here, only 5 to 10 minutes are remaining. Okay, so up to this point now today we have covered. Okay, how we have calculated the shear force, what area we have considered, why that hatched area we have considered, okay, in the previous board examples. Okay, so that you should be, what we can say, you go through this all these things once again today. Okay, and in the next lecture, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we will continue this problem from this point, and I will tell you which area will come into the contact. Probably if I get some model, I will come with some model so that it will be easier to you for understanding. Cross sectional area is not the correct answer. Cross sectional area is this area. See, someone has given me, Amar has given me the answer, 50 roll number, cross section area. No, cross sectional area, this is the area what is black you are saying over here on the top, this is the cross sectional area. Okay, हा जो वरचा एरिया आहे हा क्रॉस सेक्शनल एरिया, हा कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये येणार नाही. कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये काय येईल तर हा क्रॉस सेक्शनल एरियाची ही साइड आणि ह्याची आतली बाजू म्हणजे ह्याची डेप्थ येणार, हे काळं जे आहे ना ह्याची डेप्थ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये येईल. Okay, so that I will explain you. So my question is, if this is your foundation footing and this black area is your 0.5 plus d area, and it is now penetrating, this black area is now penetrating through the footing. So while penetrate this action, which area will come into the contact of this footing? That was my question. So again think on this, what area will come into the contact, and in the next lecture I will tell you which area will come into the contact and how to calculate that area. In the next lecture, which area will come into the contact while that penetrating action takes place. But I am happy that at least you catch the question